welcome back to my channel. I am JJ and I'm a writer, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about world building. More specifically, for all of you fantasy writers out there, I wanted to create a list of questions that you can answer to help you world build. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Number 1, what's the weather like in your world? Is it like sunny all the time? Is it snowy 90% of the time? Is this section more snow-ridden? Is it constantly monsoon season? Like, what's the weather like, and how can you play with that? Number two, what is the government like? Do people like the government? What's general public opinion about the government and the ruler and the leadership? And more importantly, how is the next ruler chosen, or the leader, whoever they are? How is that chosen? Is it genetic? Is it if they have a gift? Is it religious? Is it a democracy? Is it a collaborative effort between like 8 different people to all lead at the same time? What do they do if there's a tie? So on and so forth. Figure out what the government's like, especially if you're writing anything that has any political anything in it, because that'll be important. Number 3. How many religions are there? Obviously in our world, there are a lot of religions. That should be the case in other worlds too. You can come across strangers, even from the same country, who might have different beliefs than you do. So you should probably think about what that looks like in your book and what that pans out to. Do you have a pantheon? Is there only one God? How many people are quote-unquote right? How many people are not? What is the religious system? Do they believe in fate? How does it manifest? What are the rituals? All of this. Also, I have resources on my blog. I will link to those down below. But when you're creating a religion and you're creating a belief system, don't underestimate the power of cults and or actual gods coming down to earth. Or if you don't have any of those things, why not? What do they believe in instead? Right? Like, do they believe in the stars, in the cosmos? Are they very scientific based? Would they worship science? Do they believe in both magic and science as the same thing? What does that look like? This is one of my friend's favorite questions, so thank you, Ari, but how does your world deal with sewage? Like, if you're in a city, do they have drains? Do they have an underground system? Do they just have gutters that are gross and disgusting? Do the streets smell? What do they do about public health? What do they do about animals? How do they deal with toxic waste? What do they do with trash? Is there trash? Is it all an entirely trashless society? Like, what do they do with all of that? That's a very interesting world-building question, and it answers a lot of other questions, like what kind of animals live in the city? Are they scavengers? If you're not in a city, what do you do then? Like, what then, right? What are the things that people expect as norms? Like, we tend, like, our human society, we expect that there to be bathrooms available to us. What would your society expect as the norm wherever they are? Is there always a tavern and you know that there's always going to be a tavern? Is there always horses to rent? Are there horses? Is it like a dire goat? But what is the norm? What do people expect to be there so that if it's not there, it's weird? What are security systems like? Like, especially, I mean, again, I'm a crime writer. I like to think about heists and all that jazz. What are security systems in a world with magic? What do? Do you use the magic, or do you not trust it because you can trick magic with other magic? Like, what? How do you protect the things that are valuable? What even is valuable? Do they care about gold and jewels and rubies, or is it more important to them that you have a relationship that you tend for and you care for, and does that manifest in any way? How do they protect the things that they care about? What does the military look like? Do they have a military? Do they have a draft? Is it all just like everybody volunteers? What do you do if you don't want to fight? What do you do if you do want to fight but there isn't a war? There isn't a military? What happens then? What if there is no conflict? What if it's a utopia? but you're a warrior. Then what? What do you do? How do you spend your days? What are the every so often normal routines of your life that you do when you're not like out on an adventure, right? Like, how would you spend your days in this world as a normal person? You would go to work. Okay, what does work look like? Is there work? Do you have a payment system? How are people given their paychecks if they have them, right? Like, we all have direct deposit, but are all of them given like, here's your sack of gold for the week? Where do they get all of the sacks? Anyway, what kind of food is sold at a tavern or a cafe? Like, are they mostly vegetarian? Do they tend to only have like breads and rices? Is it mostly grain-based? Is it like all meat and you can't find any vegetables anywhere and everybody has scurvy? What does that look like? Is it beer? Is it alcohol? Is it like fermented cranberries? How does that influence how they interact with each other? Like, do you go to the tavern for fermented cranberries after work? Or do you not? What are the normal rhythms, right? What do normal people wear? What do royalty wear? Why? Is there significance to it? Is there any cultural or ritual significance to it? Is it just that it's easier to wear clothing that you can patch up or lace up that'll fit you longer? Is it more straightforward to use Velcro on everything? If so, how did they discover Velcro? Is it just something that's been around forever? What are the most important and fine clothing? Is it silks? Is it satins? Is it cotton? What's rare in your world and what makes something special? What are the common jobs? Like, what does the working class look like? If you don't have a job, or like if you're a student and you go home for the summer and you get a summer job, what kind of summer job would you have? Or other seasonal work would you have in your world? These are the things that I want to know, and I think that they could spur on different kinds of thoughts about world building other than here's my country, here's my kingdom, here's the main character, but actually developing the world as a whole. Like, if you walk into any city, what are you going to find? Why is that different than our world? How do they deal with things differently? Do they have multiple moons? If they have multiple moons, how does that affect gravity in the oceans and tides? What does that mean about their religious system? Do they worship 2 moon gods, right? If they have 3 suns that their planet revolves around, what does that mean for their sleep schedules, right? Or like, what's a doctor? Do you have a doctor? Or is it like, just go see the medic? I don't know, right? But all sorts of these questions are the kinds of questions that will help as you figure out what you're trying to create here. Hopefully, I've been able to spur something on in you to help you world build. I always love looking at like mythology or other naming systems, usually basing at least the names and the sounds of the world around one country that I know exists. Usually is helpful for me when I'm building worlds for my Dungeons & Dragons campaigns or my Pathfinder campaigns. Until next time, I hope this helps go spur on some writing thoughts, and I will see you then. Make sure to check out the rest of the channel. I have all sorts of other videos similar to this, some videos going through my bookshelf. If you, like a lot of other people, just want to zoom in and figure out what books I have, don't worry. I thought ahead and I created an entire playlist of just going through my books. It's been a pleasure. I'm so glad you're here, and I will see you next time. Bye!